Guys, I have to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I was going to make a video talking about all the shows I watched in both January and February, like what I watched in January, but I realized I didn't like that video, and also I didn't really want to talk about any of those shows, like low-key. Except for one of them, but I feel like that show needs its own video because it's too obnoxious. But in that video, I had talked about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because I'd started watching it. I think I was on part 2 at the time, and I still didn't know very much about it. And on Hulu, they use the cover art for part 4, and it's even titled as part 4. So I thought the entire show was called Diamond is Unbreakable. That's just part 4. So I sound really dumb while talking about it because I knew nothing at the time. I do own the first volume. I'm holding it upside down. I do own the first volume of Phantom Blood. It's very fun. I bought it for $9 at a thrift store. I don't want to collect all of them because that's really expensive, and they're hardcover, so they're more expensive than normal manga. Although my most expensive copy I own is the first volume of Initial D, and that was $25, and that's not hardcover, but it's super thick, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I do own the first edition. It is very fun. I like all the symbols. I think they're really fun. And it has Jonathan on the front, and it has Dio on the back. It shows Dio with the dog, but he fucking hates the dog. He literally kills the dog. I just think it's funny. I like that they show his ear too. I think it's fun. But they even show the Joestar mansion. But normally this shit's $19, and this is the first edition, so these ones are cheaper, I think. But I think I just want to collect the chapters that I like. So I definitely want to get all of part 3 parts that I like. So I want to get all of part 3. I want to get all the manga for that one. I don't know if I wouldn't get the manga for part 2. I kind of want to get all the ones for part 1 just because it's short, and I already have this one. I've officially moved on from Has-Been Hotel. That fandom had me in the trenches on my last leg. I was so annoyed, bro. That fandom is so annoying. Literally, I drew the line at the Radio Static fanfiction because people just couldn't be normal about that. We had to write a bone saw fic for some reason because that was insane. Literally, that was the craziest ass fic I'd ever read. And I had to text all my friends about it because I was like, girl, what the fuck is this? I should make a video about the bone saw fic because it's just so insane. Yeah, so I'm done with the Has-Been Hotel fandom, and thankfully the JoJo fandom that exists, at least from what I see, is it's so much better, dude. I'm not entrenched in shipping warfare, because you have to remember this is a super old series. This has been around since the 80s. It's super old, and the anime came out in 2015, so people are already over it. I think the goal is to join a fandom while it's been out for at least a decade, because everyone has chilled out. Right now I think on episode 15 of part 4. But I've watched parts 1 through 3 entirely. So it is such a good anime. It is so peak. Pretty new to anime. I think I started watching it last summer. The first anime I ever watched was Fairy Tail when I was in middle school, and I was like, this is kind of cool, I guess. And then I didn't have any way to watch anime because my parents wouldn't let me watch it. So I just kind of forgot about it. I always forget that Fairy Tail exists, which is kind of funny. I also have a friend whose first anime was also Fairy Tail, and I'm like, ayo. I don't really remember what that anime is about. I just know they all have magical abilities, and there's this annoying cat. And there's a girl that had big boobs for some reason, and they made that her main character trait. So that was cool. My favorite anime is Chainsaw Man, but I think JoJo I think it's on the same level as Chainsaw Man, because I don't think it's not necessarily better. They're both on the same level of peak, I think. And then the first anime I watched as an adult was Death Note. I fuck with Death Note heavy. I own one of the black editions. It's really thick. It's 2 editions in one, so I technically own 3. I love Death Note. Death Note is great. I have a Light Yagami shirt. I was Light Yagami for Halloween. I love him. He is my son. A lot of people hate on the first part because it's A, really short, and B, like, kind of boring. I didn't think it was that boring. But I think a lot of people don't like it because there's not a lot that goes on. Oh, and Jonathan dies. So, like, it ends pretty prematurely. Also, he doesn't have any of his, like, companions yet. This is, like, it kind of like is with a like weird nebulous chapter because he doesn't have any Jobro companions. He doesn't have a government assigned boyfriend yet. That's why we could be calling all of the like JoJo companion dudes, the ones that like they get paired up with in the beginning or like halfway through. That's what I'll be calling them because that's basically what they are. Jonathan doesn't have a government assigned boyfriend. The closest he gets is like Speedwagon, but like. So yeah, I think a lot of people don't like that he doesn't have like a fun like sleigh posse. He's just him. I don't know how to say the last name. I think it's the guy with the mustache and the weird hat. And then Speedwagon, but I don't really know why he's there because he doesn't do anything. He just kind of states the obvious. The main trope is that there's always one guy in the party that has to state the obvious and they has to commentate on what's happening in this scene. I don't know why they do this. I think it's maybe so like I don't think it's a like if you're not paying attention thing. I think it's just like maybe if you don't understand what's going on or like I don't know, maybe you don't really understand what's happening. But there's always somebody that's stating the obvious and like commentating on like what's going on. It's kind of like watching, and that's in part 1, Phantom Blood, as you can see, that is what it is called. That is Speedwagon's job because he literally has no abilities. He's just a guy, and he is set up for the rest of the series. And I don't know. I feel like that's important because like it's a series that's like has a huge scope and scale, and it goes on for like centuries. So like I think it's kind of important. Also, Speedwagon ends up being a really important character later on, and he's literally like his impact is like in literally every single chapter. So like I feel like it's he's like my third. Well, he's in my top 3 favorite characters. And like he's fine. I don't really know what he looks like in the manga and later down the line, but in the first one he's fine. He's just like generic anime guy. But in the anime, I was watching it and I was expecting him to just look like kind of like he looks like in the manga. But in the anime, that is the most slayful see you next Tuesday man I have ever seen in my life. He is so slay. I want to be the. Is he super evil and an asshole? Yes, but he is my wife. I love him so much. I'll be talking about Dio a lot because he's like the main villain in 2 of the chapters. Chapter 2 is like a weird like offshoot, like not really an offshoot per se, but he's not the villain in that one. It interchanges when he's like the villain because he's like the villain in part 1, he's the villain in part 3, and he's not the villain. Well, I think he shows up in part 4. I think I don't know. Dio's weird after part 3. He becomes like nebulous. But anyway, I love him. He is so slayful. I saw him and I saw his eyeliner and I was like, that is my wife right there. This takes place in 1890, I think, or like I think it takes place in like the early It starts in 1868. Also, I found a way better Dio picture. This is kind of what he looks like in the manga. Also, there's like these orange pages and they're really cool. But anyway, it's 1868. And this, like, I don't know, kind of ghetto English guy. They're British, by the way. I need to emphasize that. Dio is British. You have to remember this. In part 3, he drops the accent. And Jonathan's also British. So these are all British people. This takes place in England. So this, like, ghetto British guy, like, pulls up to this, like, carriage crash. And it's, like, raining or something. And he's like, ayo, we should, like, loot this guy. And because they think he's dead. But it turns out he's not dead. He's just like severely injured. And he's like, ayo, for saving my life and saving my son's life. The son is Jonathan, by the way. You can like, your son can come like live with me or something. I don't know. He like makes his deal with him. And then the guy's like, sure, whatever. And then it goes to like 12 years later. And Dio's just like, I fucking hate my deadbeat dad. Who's an alcoholic. So they're like super poor and like they live in like the slums and shit. And then the dad's like, I'm dying, son. Read this letter. And then he reads it and it's, oh, you can go live at the Joestar Manor if I die. So Dio's like, I don't know who the fuck that is, but bet my life sucks. So he leaves because his dad dies. Also he like is like beating his dad up while he's dying, but the dad is like an asshole. So he leaves, and then he goes to the Joestar Mansion. And he pulls up. This is really funny because this happens in the anime and the book, the manga, and he pulls up and he's just like, "Ayo, are you Jonathan?" And Jonathan's like, "Yeah." Who the fuck are you? And then he's like, I'm Dio and I'm gonna live with you now. And he's like, okay, cool, I guess. And then he immediately starts beating the shit out of Jonathan's dog. Because I think his dog comes up to him and he's like, fucking hey dog. And he starts like beating the shit out of him. And it's really funny because it's so violent. And Jonathan's like, hey yo, why do you do that? I don't even know you. You're just some random guy. And then his dad's like, oh my god, you're the like son of the guy that saved me. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna destroy your like main goal is to be like, I'm gonna take over the Joestar estate and like I'm going to be the main Joestar guy and they're all gonna die. And I don't really know why he has this mentality. I think he just hates his life, so he's like, maybe my life will be better if I kill all these people. But anyway, so his like plan is to like be the best like models. Oh, this takes place in 1880. It says in the book. So technically they're adopted brothers. I don't see them that way, mostly because he just again pulls up randomly one day and automatically hates Jonathan. They do not feel related in any way. I think they call each other brothers at one point, but like nah, I don't really think of them as brothers, really. They're kind of, but Dio doesn't even refer to him as his brother at all. I think he maybe refers to him as his brother like twice. But anyway, they're not really they're not related or anything. He's just some random plan is to like be the like model son so that Jonathan gets like sent to the slums and can't inherit any of his father's like money, and it all goes to Dio instead. So he does this and he makes Jonathan's life super miserable by making sure he doesn't have any friends. He kills his dog. His father hates him. He's doing bad in school. Dio beats him up all the time and like makes fun of him. And then he also steals his girlfriend, Arena Sosle. I love her. She's JoJo girlfriend, I guess. This is the thing, is all of these men are like inherently super gay. So like whenever they get like some like love interest, it feels forced. But Arena feels like she's chill. So he like steals his makes out with her, but then she's like, that was gross, and then like starts like drinking mud or something, and then Dio's like, bruh. He gets like really mad. And then Jonathan's like, yeah, it's because you're a hoe. And then he like storms off. But anyway, he makes his life. But there's this thing that is a theme, I think, until like part 3. Is like, I think it was his dad that found it. I'm not entirely sure, but there's this like stone mask. It will come. There's a stone mask, I think, on like some kind of expedition, and it's hanging up in their house. And Jonathan's always been very curious about it, of like what it is. So like, you know, after his life has been made miserable, somehow him and Dio make like amends, suppose, and then it turns out they're kind of not. They've just like, his dad gets really sick, and then it turns out that Dio's been poisoning him because he's trying to kill him off so that he can get all of his money. And then Jonathan figures this out, and he's like, "Ayo, dad, Dio's like an asshole. He's trying to kill you." And then he's like, but like the way he finds this out is he like goes to where Dio's from, which is like ghetto England or whatever, like, you know, where like all the criminals live and shit. And then he gets ambushed by, this is where Speedwagon comes up, by the way. He gets ambushed by Speedwagon and like 5 other like dudes, and they're like, "Ayo, give us all your money and we're gonna like kill you." And then he's like, nah. And then he automatically falls in love with Jonathan. He's like, this man I'm going to follow for the rest of my life. And then he's like, I dedicate my life to you or something. He like says some like gay ass shit. Also, the hat he has in the manga is not in the anime. His hat in the anime is complete. Yeah, so he's like, sure. Also, I love Speedwagon. He's so slay. I love his like slay mullet that no one would have had at that time. Also, everyone has hair that nobody would have, which I love. Yeah, he's like, sure, king. He doesn't follow Jonathan back. I think he just like tells him the information he needs, because it turns out it's this like criminal apothecary guy he cops that, and then he goes back. He's like, "Oh, Dad, by the way, Dio's trying to kill you," and he's like, "God damn it!" And I think they call the police. But anyway, so like circling back a little bit, Jonathan has been like researching the stone mask thing, and he's like, this does something. It like reacts to blood, and then he goes back, and then Dio gets all mad because he's like, I would never do that. Why would I do that? I'm totally not trying to take over. Jonathan's like, yeah, he's like a loser, and we hate him. And then he's like, also, the dad's like, damn, that really sucks, son. Sorry for hating you for so long. And then he croaks, and then he beats the shit out of Dio. He does this a couple of times. Also, there's an outfit that Jonathan has in the book that he doesn't have in the anime, and it makes me sad. If I can find it in the anime, and it makes me sad. He has like a version of it, but also Jonathan looks completely different. I will show you a side by side. He does not look like this in the anime at all. He looks completely different. His face is really squishy in the manga, and he has yaoi proportions. He's built like a fucking brick in the anime. Like he has like different hair and his face looks different. Dio in his gay ass outfit. Oh, this is the mask thing, by the way. I'll show you what Speedwagon looks like because he looks similar, but also I think Dio follows him because I think he figures it out and then he's like, "Ayo, that." Ew, Brad. Not Speedwagon. He looks nothing like that in the anime. Also, his hat is complete. Oh yeah, because he beats all of his friends up, and then he's like, "Yeah, I guess I'm like go to the sauce." And then Speedwagon's like, "Oh yeah, you totally are king. I'm in love with you." I will say this shot though, he does look like that in the manga. He does look like that in the anime. It's just also I think this is a thing in the anime, but his hat has like a knife in it, and he can like cut people. But I don't think he does that. I think he does it like once in the anime, and then he's just like, I guess this isn't useful anymore. Another gay ass Dio outfit. Oh yeah, and then like he follows him. Dio follows Jonathan out into the wilderness, or the city, and like sees this one guy get got with the mask, and he's like, yo, he got all weird, and then like his dad dies, and then they like beat the shit out of each other, and then Dio's like, I got one more trick on my sleeve, asshole, and then slaps the mask on his face. But I think by that time they like burn his house, and him and Speedwagon are just like chilling, and then there's like the police. Oh yeah, because the police try to arrest Dio, and then Dio's like, no, you can't do this to me, and then like he's like, but I got like a plan B, and then goes like, and then there's like the police leave, I think, because the house gets lit in fire, and then him and Speedwagon are like, damn, Dio's dead now. I can move. Psych, you can't move on with your life. I can't remember how this. So I'm going off of memory here. I can't exactly remember how, because like time passes, because he's like an adult by this time. He's like 22. But like somehow he realizes that Dio is still alive, and he's like, bruh. But he runs into like this Italian. He looks kind of sus. I don't know. He looks Zeffirelli. I don't know if he's not my favorite. He's important though. So you have to. The thing about JoJo is there's a lot of characters, especially in the beginning, that are really important that you have to remember later on because they'll introduce people that are related to that person. So it's like family. But he figures out this is this Italian guy, Zeffirelli. Again, if I'm pronouncing that, magic powers, and he's like, "Ayo, and then he's like, "Do you think you're like capable?" So this introduces the magic system, which only lasts 2 seasons because they change magic systems. But they have this like thing called like Hammerin, and it's like your blood. It's like this blood energy that flows through you, and it conducts electricity, so you're able to do like cool stuff with it, and like fight people. So like the first 2 seasons are like the fights are very like physical, and it's like actually them like beating each other up with like their like Hammond abilities, and like, but in the first 2 seasons Hammond is the magic thing, and you can do all kinds of stuff, and all the moves have like really fun names that are really long, and you have to shout them before you use them. And I think Jonathan's is the overdrive, where he like punches people, but like there's other words you put before it. So this like guy teaches him all he knows, and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, the only reason I know how to do this is like because I'm trying to get that stone mask back, because I think it killed his dad or something. I don't remember. I just know he was like on a boat, and then he was like, oh shit, that like killed my dad or something. So now he's like trying to find it to like destroy it. Anyway, so they figure out that Dio's turning people into vampires, and then he's like, do you know that guy? And then Jonathan's like, oh, Ao, I like kind of spent like 5 to 10 years of my life with him, and he tried to kill my dad. I tried to kill him, but I guess he's not dead. So, and then it's him, Zepparelli, and like Speedwagon, and then they like, this is why it's short, because it's like they figure this out, and then they go on the journey to find Dio. And they find him in this like remote village. I think it's still in England, but it could be in France. I don't remember. But they find like they find where he's like located, and then they're like, but they have to like fight through like these like vampire dudes. Like there's this knife guy they have to fight in a tunnel. That one's pretty fun. Again, Speedwagon can't do anything because he doesn't have like any Hammond abilities. He's non-magical. He has no magic whatsoever, and it's really funny because he's just a guy. So he's kind of just standing there being like, oh no, Jonathan, you can't die on me, mate. And they all have obnoxious British accents. Go through this tunnel, they fight the knife guy. I think they kill him. I don't remember. But they get to this town, and they're like, he's here somewhere. And then they have to like fight. It's weird because like they fight their way through this. I think they like get there. This is another JoJo trope: is they'll find like some wayward kid and then like adopt them into their party, and the kid will like follow them around until they either choose to abandon the kid or like the kid like stays around for the whole time. They get this kid, and he's like, yo, something like crazy's going down. I can't remember what order this goes in. All I know is they fight in a castle, and so the thing is like they go. So the thing about Dio is he doesn't like to fight his own battles. He has other people do it for him until you kill all those people, and then you have to actually fight him. But he sends these like powerful like soldier like ancient British soldiers, like warrior dudes, to like fight Jonathan, and he defeats both of them, but it takes him a while, and he almost drowns. And then he also fights them in a castle, and then the kid ends up saving Jonathan for getting his arm chopped off, I think. I watched this back in like December, so not even December, November. I watched this like a while ago, so I'm really trying to remember what happens. But then like, cause he sees Dio, I think, and then Dio's like, I'm not fighting you because that's below me. So like, fight these dudes. And then he gets one guy by being like, this is dishonorable. You should like do something with your life. And the guy's like, you're so right, King. And then like, like his soul gets vanquished or whatever. And then the other guy, like, he can't reason with him, so he just fights him. But they fight in the castle, and they fight in the water, and Jonathan almost dies a couple of times. But anyway, so the part I do remember though is he does end up, because they like, so like in between all this happening, like before this, they'll show you stuff that Dio's been doing. And he just like has this like horde of like vampire people, because I guess he just likes turning people into vampires, because his like main goal is I'm gonna take over the world, like, and because I'm the most powerful being ever. I'm like gonna take over the world and serve Slay all day, and live my best diva life. He's so diva. He's like the diva of divas. Like, he's divaing out right now. But like, I just remember this one part where like he's in this like little like vampire lair thing, and they show this a couple of times. But this is only when I like remember really distinctly, because it was like kind of insane. But this like, he kidnaps this lady, and she's like, you can't kill me because I have a kid, and he's like, I don't care. And then he turns the lady into a vampire, and then she eats the kid. But I think the kid also gets turned into a vampire. I don't remember. All I know is that he's like, if you turn to a vampire, I'll save your kid's life or something. And then she's like, okay, bet. And then she eats her kid. And it's really weird, because I'm like, okay, Dio, go off, I guess. But anyway, that's like before he's like fighting Jonathan or whatever. But yeah, Jonathan has a few diva down moments. But there's this one, my favorite part, besides like what comes later, is like he comes down from his little like lair, and he's just like, oh my god, Jonathan, And he goes this like gay ass speech. I completely ship them, by the way. I love the John and Dio ship. I love them. They're meant to be. They're like a toxic situation ship that I'm obsessed with. But he's like obsessed with Jonathan. He's just like, oh my god, Jonathan, I love you. He doesn't actually say this. This is just me like interpreting. He's just like, oh my god, Jonathan, we were like meant to be together. Like it's so gay. And he's like, we could be like one entity and we could like rule the world together and like I need to have you and like no one else can have you but me. And then he goes on this whole like gay ass speech and then Jonathan's like, okay, cool, but like I have to kill you because you're evil. And he's like, but you can't because I'm the most powerful being. You can't do that to me. And then he's like, so they like fight. And then at one point, because like they're doing like Hammond fighting, but like, oh, I remember now when they're fighting with him. This never comes up again, by the way. This never comes back up because the Hammond thing gets thrown out by like part 3. But Dio has this power where he can turn anything he touches into ice. Or like anything that's like living. And he turns Zepparelli into ice. Zepparelli starts fighting him first. And then he kills him. And Speedwagon's like, oh no, that's so sad. My boy, he's down. So we have Diva down. And then I think nothing happens to Speedwagon. He's just there. I don't even think Dio acknowledges his presence. But he starts freezing Jonathan, but he's like doing it in a very gay way. But somehow he like breaks through it and then they're fighting some more. And then I don't remember exactly how he does this, but Jonathan cuts Dio's head off. This is like a big thing. Remember this. And again, super gay. Dio's like, how could you do this to me? We're like supposed to be together and like shit. This is again my interpretation. I don't remember exactly what he says, but something gay and like Jonathan's like sad that he's dead. He's like, oh my god, what did I just do? I can't believe I killed my situationship. Oh my god. And I can back up the gay allegations because the new like anime figure for Jonathan is really him caressing Dio's head. It's like, bro, they're not beating the allegations here. But anyway, so he's doing that, and then I think he throws it in like the water or something because they like talk. And he's like, no, you're like really toxic, and I don't think we could be a thing. Also, you're like evil, and we're like doing shitty things to people, so bye. Also, the kid is still with him. I forgot about the kid. So yeah, that happens, and then he's like, okay, Dio's out of my life now. Cool, I can go live my life. So I think it's like I don't remember. Time passes, and him and Arena get married, and they're like, we're gonna go to America to like start over. And then while they're on the boat, like, you know, they're chilling, and then for some reason Jonathan goes to like, I think he sees the apothecary, and who's a vampire now, by the way. Oh, I think I mentioned that the mask turns you into a vampire, so Dio's a vampire. You have to remember that. I can't remember if I mentioned that or not. But so yeah. Where was I? Oh yeah. So he sees a vampire apothecary guy that helped poison his dad, and he's like, "Ayo, that's hella sus." So he follows him to like the ship basement, like room where they like store stuff. And it turns out that Dio got this like vampire coffin for him, and he's just been chilling in there because he's gonna get another. He had a plan to like reconstruct himself because he's not dead. He's just a head. But anyway, so he goes down there and he's like, "Ayo, Dio's still alive. I guess that's cool." And he's just like, "God damn it, Dio, what the hell?" And he's just like, "But we could still be like one. We could still be together. Like, I need your body, Jonathan. I need you." And it's still super gay. And then he's like, "No, I'm like married now, and like I'm trying to start a new life, and you're being annoying." And he's like, "No, I'm not. I need you, and I'm taking you, and Arena can go fuck herself." And so I don't remember what exactly happens, but him and like the apothecary, and then Dio somehow is able to like light the ship on fire, and then he attacks Jonathan and tries to chop his head off so that he can fuse himself to Jonathan. This is important for later, by the way. And then like this whole thing happens, but Jonathan dies. So he's the only Joestar I think that actually bites it. Everyone else like is alive or dies because they get really old. But anyway, so I think Arena is like there at one point because she's like, where'd Jonathan go? And then she realizes that this head is attacking him, and then she's like, bruh. Anyway, Jonathan dies, and she's like, oh shit, okay. But then the ship is on fire, and then there's this like abandoned like child. This is also important. A lot of really important stuff happens in like the last episode. That's like really important later on. And then she's like, I gotta rescue that kid, man. And then she ends up in the Dio coffin with the kid. Okay, this is my thing. I'm gonna jump to part 3 because this is a thing that I just thought of. How does Dio get back? Cause like if they're in the, I think they're in the coffin, and like if they how did he rot in the bottom of the ocean for a century, and then they pull him back up and he's like intact? Like how the math isn't mathing with that, but that's fine. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe they were floating on something else. But I could have sworn it was the Dio coffin. And like they're just like floating, and but like how did he get it back? Like the math isn't really mathing with that one, but it's fine. It's whatever. That's the end of Phantom Blood, the first part. It's pretty short. I think it's only like 10 episodes. On Hulu, they shove part 1 and part 2 into one season. So whatever. Also, I need to preface before I got into JoJo at all, my only frame of reference was from like ASMR. Because I think I watched 2 videos, but I watched the first one I watched. These are both jjba ASMR videos. Shout out to her. She's great. But anyway, so the first one was she was doing this like Josuke tattoo thing, and she does have a tattoo of him. And so I knew about him. I knew about Josuke. And she did a Bruno cosplay from Golden Wind, the guy with the bob. So my only frame of reference was Josuke and Bruno, and I thought they were the only like 2 main characters, and the whole show was just about them 2. I was wrong. That is not it at all. So those were like the only 2 characters I knew about. Also, I one time went to this like disability camp thing that my parents made me go to in high school, and I remember I was sitting in a group of like people, and we were talking about anime. I knew nothing at the time, and someone brought up JoJo, and one guy was like, oh my god, I hate that anime. And they were all like, oh, why? And he's like, the men are too muscular. That is a really weird reason to hate a show. He's like, the men are like too beefy. I don't, and like all they do is focus on the beefy men. I can't stand it. And I was just like, what? I was like, okay, that's kind of a dumb reason to hate a show, but like, go off, I guess. I just think that's funny. But that's the end of part 1. I realized when I originally filmed this video, like 2 months ago, that I didn't actually give any of my actual thoughts. I just recapped vaguely like what the first 2 parts were about. But I actually have thoughts. I actually have opinions on it. I guess I kind of like would give like some like opinions I had, but I feel like I didn't give like any like constructive like full thoughts on it. I know a lot of people don't like part 1 because it's like boring. I didn't think it was boring. I think it's pretty good. I think it's because it's short and like not a lot happens. Like, and not like in the way like literally nothing happens. It's more in the way of it's not as like exciting. Like none of the fights are as exciting as like some of the other ones later on. And I think a lot of people, not a lot of people, but like I think some people think, I think it's also just because Jonathan doesn't have a lot of he's not as like, you know, he's not like Jotaro or anything. So like he just kind of exists to a lot of people because he's in like 10 episodes of like a singular part and like he dies. So like I think a lot of people kind of forget about him. I don't know. I feel like he's definitely that one JoJo that people are like, oh yeah, that's right. Joe, he's not like all the other JoJos where he has like, he doesn't have this like distinct companion with him. He kind of just has two people that are two dudes in weird hats that follow him around, and then they're like, oh my god, this is your evil boyfriend, I guess we have to kill him now, and then that's basically the entire plot. So I think people are just like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people don't think there's a lot of substance to part one, which I think there is. I think it's interesting, especially when you compare it to like the later ones. There's a lot of good like contrast, I think, especially with like part five. You can kind of compare how Dio and Giorno have similar childhoods and how Dio chose to be evil because of his shitty situation, and then Giorno chose like the righteous path and became like, all badass and stuff. Although I think Dio was older when he chose violence, but that's besides the point. But there's a lot of like good like comparisons you can make with like the later ones, because it's just interesting to like look back because it like all connects. So I think that's interesting, especially when you watch like part 3 and then like Dio's like a completely different person. I like that he doesn't really have his like, I think you forget he's British in that one. Like I feel like part 1 is so painfully British. Maybe that's another reason why people don't like it as much. I think it's also because like their outfits aren't that like cool. I think a lot of people think it's just like generic. But like if you didn't have part 1, you wouldn't have Dio and his meowl, okay? Like we cannot forget the meowl. Like part 1 is like low-key kind of absurd. Like I think that's what makes it so great. I really liked part 1. I thought it was good. I mean, like compared to the other ones, it's like lower on my list, but it's not bad by any means. Like I think part 1 is better than part 4. Yeah, I think a lot of people have like mixed opinions on it, or I think a lot of people just disregard its existence. But I think Phantom Blood is great. I think it's whimsical, and also it makes the rest of the series make sense. So, and I think Jonathan's a decent JoJo. I mean, he doesn't exist for very long, but like, that's just how it be. I think it's like a consensus that everyone really likes part 2. I really liked part 2. I'm gonna be real though, part 2 is kind of slow in parts just because like it doesn't meander per se. It's just like there's a lot that happens, and like some of it I think is mildly unnecessary, but like it's still good. I say the Mexico arc is one of my least favorite just because it's like, I think after the Joseph in drag scene, it kind of drags on. Especially the fight with, like, the resurrected stone guy. Like, girl, that it was fine. I wasn't a huge fan of that arc, low-key. I think it's my least favorite arc in the whole part, but I saw this TikTok where the comment was like, I liked seasons 1 through 3, but it like fell off at season 4, and all the comments weren't even about like part 4 shooters. It was all people just being like, the fuck you mean you calling them seasons? Like, it was like, and then they called that commenter like a LARPer. It was really funny, and I thought I would just bring that up because I just thought of that. Because I think the reason why people like part 2 so much is because it has a small like cast of people that you follow around, but it also gives the JoJo like a guy that's not, it gives him like a distinct like companion that he's with the whole time, because Caesar's the first Jo bro. I think also people that are like really into like shipping in like the JoJo franchise, they really latch on to that one because that's like the first instance of like the JoJo having a boyfriend, basically, which is totally valid. What I think is interesting about Caesar, though, is everyone is like, oh yeah, like, he's dead. And then when it comes, and like, they've like accepted that he dies, and they're like, yeah, like, it's whatever. And then when it comes to like, when Kakyoin dies, people are like, he never died, guys. Like, everyone's just like in denial. Because like, there's like a lot of like, not AUs, but there's a lot of like people that'll do like fan art, and they're like, oh yeah, like Caesar is dead. And then there's a lot of ones like that with like Kakyoin and Jotaro too, but a lot of like them are like, oh no, he survived. That's why I was so confused. So I was like, does he die or not? Like, what? But like, I just think that's an interesting thing. Yeah, but yeah, part 2 is good. I do like it. It just kind of drags on. Also, I kind of it's not that I lost interest. It's just that one doesn't have like a lot of like in between. It's mostly just combat. I know the ones later on are like less like that. It's more of them like not hanging out, but like them like doing other stuff. Or like the combat is like different. This one, like it's mostly just combat, which is fine. I think part 2 is the most like shonen part. It's mostly them just fighting, and it's all right. I think that is the part that guy got to me. But I like the parts in part 2 where it's not like just fighting all the time. I like when Joseph and Caesar actually get to like interact outside of like a fight. I think that's really fun. They have a really fun dynamic. I think that's why people really like. Also, I didn't really know what Caesar looked like in the manga until recently, because that's the one I don't get a lot of manga panels for. But I started getting more recently, and I had to like look up pictures to like put in the video, and Caesar looks so fuck ass in the manga, bro. Like no shade, but like why does he look like that? Like it's the outfit that is already like extremely fuck ass. I think his pants are better in the manga, low key. I think they have more drip that makes sense. And but everything else it's so bad. Like also he has like this watch that's like 3 watch faces. And I was like, what do you mean he has like a watch that's 3 watches? Like girl, a lot of people headcanon Caesar as being trans, and I can see it. He dresses like a T-boy, let's be real. Like, some of his outfits make no fucking sense. Like, I just, like, look at him, and I'm like, brother, what do you mean? What do you mean this is what you came up with? Especially his, like, intro outfit. I hate that outfit so much. That's the one, the manga panel one I found. That outfit is so fucking stupid. Like, I hate the weird bow tie choker thing. Like, what is that? And then he has, like, this purple vest. And then he has a green belt. Nothing else is green in this outfit, by the way. It's all, like, purple and, like, white. But then he just has this green belt. Like, girl, where did you get that from? Like, he literally looked like he went to a thrift store and put together the most, like, horrendous, like, pieces he could find. I just, that, like, and, like, all his other outfits are actually really decent. Like, his main outfit is really cute. I love his main outfit. But, like, what was with that outfit? Like, that one he also has, like, the Sapelli hat, and I'm just like, girl, you're doing too much. Like, if I was Joseph and I saw that man from, like, across an Italian restaurant, I don't know if I would have been like, yeah, like, I need to kiss him. I think I would have been like, where did you get that outfit from? I would have been like, what? Hey yo, what's with your fuck ass fit? Like, brother, ultimate T-boy energy. Also, he doesn't have this outfit in the manga, I don't think, but he has an outfit in the anime where he's literally wearing a sports bra and like a jacket, and that's the most T-boy thing you can do. Like, that is literally the epitome of, like, me going to the gym. Like, girl, it's so funny. And I think it's great. I think he has so much whimsy in his heart, and we love him. I think besides their dynamic, the thing I liked the most was there's a very small cast of characters. I think it's literally just him and, like, Caesar and then Speedwagon, but like Speedwagon kind of like comes and goes. So it's literally just kind of them for a while, and then like Lisa. So like I really liked that they had a small like group of characters, and a lot of them you didn't see a whole, like, you'd see them intermittently. Like, Lisa doesn't show up until the end anyway. I will say the thing about Lisa that pissed me off is she's, like, super cool and, like, this, like, super girl, like, Hammond girl boss, but she doesn't get to do anything because Cars just bitch slaps her and is like, well, Joseph, it's up to you to rescue your mother. And then he's just like, okay. Like, I feel like she could have done so much more than that. Like, they did my girl so fucking dirty. Like, she could have pistol whipped that bitch with her Hammond scarf. I'm sorry. She could have done so much more than that. Like, Joseph literally loses an arm and he still, like, kicks his ass. Like, come fucking on, bro. Like, that just was so annoying. And, like, there's a lot of other girl bosses in the other parts that get to do more stuff. Like,
it's just so dumb. Like, why did they let my girl? Why didn't they let my goat do anything? Like, I just think that's dumb. I do like the villains in part two. I think the villains in part two are really fun. Cars is very slay. I love his hair reveal. Like his hair reveal is so fun. I love that he's basically just a magical girl. Him and Diablo are the two magical girls. I love his little unicorn horn. It's so slay. He's a really fun villain. I will say he doesn't say much. He's not chatty. He's not like the other ones where they'll like go on like 5 minute rants about like how like they're evil and like why they need to kill everyone. He just kind of appears. Well, like the thing is like him and the other two that he's just like you're like too focused on like kicking this guy's ass. Like that's not important. Like we need to like world domination, guys. World domination. We're not locking in. And then they never lock in. And then he's just like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to do this myself because they all got themselves killed. So like, cool. And then yeah, he doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't say much. I think he just lets his hair speak for itself. He lets his hair speak for him. But yeah, he's very slay. I do think it's funny that he gets like yeeted into space. I think he has the like one of the funnest deaths in my opinion. His death is very fun. I like that he just kind of gets like yeeted into a volcano and then yeeted into space and then dies. I think I'm gonna be real. I think he is like the most powerful JoJo villain because like he had to get he to kill him. He literally had to like get thrown into like outer space. Like that's insane. Like all the other ones, they're just dudes mostly. It's their stands that are like super obnoxious, and that's why it takes forever to like take them down. But like the thing I liked about parts one and two is that the villains don't have like dumb like time manipulation bullshit where they're like, I can turn back time and therefore I can destroy you and it like breaks the whole system. I think the stand that does the best with the time like fuckery would probably be King Crimson, I think. I think Diablo with his time manipulation makes the most sense where I'm like, okay, I can see that. Dio's is also the most like straightforward. He can just like freeze time and do whatever. Don't get me started. Don't get me fucking started on Kira's stand, bro. I hate the time bullshit he does. The like Groundhog Day thing. Get that out of here. I hate Bites the Dust so much. It shouldn't exist. It literally, he already has a broken stand. It just breaks it even more. That man shouldn't have that. Like, don't get me started on the part 4 villain, bro. Don't get me started on Kira. What's so funny is I can't stand his ass, but like I'm working on this like whole ass comic with him in it, and I've just been like eating, and then like I'll just look at it and I'm like, I love that I'm drawing a guy I can't stand. But I like how simplistic the villains are in parts 1 and 2. They're very straightforward. They don't have weird time bullshit that they can use to their advantage. They're just kind of out here girl bossing. Like they're just like literally Dio doesn't really do much. I think he just turns a bunch of people into vampires and then just like go deal with my ex-boyfriend and then like or my it's they're not even really boyfriends. Go deal with my situationship. And then like and then Jonathan being built like a fucking house just plows through all of them. And then he's just like, you have to go fight me yourself, Dio. And then Dio's like, I guess. And then just like kills his like mentor. Doesn't I don't even think he sees Speedwagon. I think Speedwagon's just there. I think it's because he's a non-magical girl. He has no magic. Um, and then he just like zeroes in and he's like, Jonathan, you die now. And then Jonathan like snaps his neck. And that's it. And then he's ahead. And then Jonathan instantly feels bad for killing him. He's like, that was a bad idea. That was a mistake, Dio. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, babe. I'm so sorry I did that. And then Dio's like, you better be sorry, you fucking bitch. And then steals his body. And then there you go. Like, I think that's such a fun premise. That's like one of my favorite things is Dio being such a bitch and just being like, this is mine now. If I can't have you, nobody can, except for me. And then just like bonds himself to it in the bottom of the ocean. I want to know, like, when they found him at the bottom of the ocean, like, was it like a head and then there's just this corpse like next to it, or had he already like sewn it on? Like, I want to know like how he was doing that. Also, I remember when I watched part one, I didn't really know what to expect, and I was not expecting that like 1800s. I was not expecting Victorian England. But I remember the first time I saw Dio and his Maybelline like cat eye, I was like, I literally gasped. I think I was like, I remember texting my best friend being like, oh my god, like the eyeliner is what did it for me. He's just so slayful. I was like, okay, go off. And I thought it was great. And then I was like locked in. And they just get more slay as it goes on. I think part two I would never read the manga of really just because I don't have as much investment. I like Joseph a lot. I think he's really fun. And I love his obnoxious accent that he completely loses by part three. Maybe it's because he's old, I don't know. But Joseph is a really enjoyable character. I think he's really fun and he has a lot of whimsy in his heart. And he's really funny. And I love him in part three. Even though he is the most useless stand of all time. Like, Hermit Purple, I don't. It's just vines. Like, I know it's supposed to, like, predict the future or whatever, but it's so stupid. I hate his stand so much. It's so dumb. I think he just should have stuck with his Hammond powers, but they had to, like, change magic system, so they had to, like, throw a stand at him, and that's what he got. He got, like, the short end of the stick. Also, nobody else has, like, a stand that's vines. Like that's interesting. But yeah, I think he's a very fun JoJo. I think I ranked them all at work once because I was like kind of bored. I think he ranked at like number. He was like in the middle of the pack, I think. But yeah, so those are my actual thoughts. I don't know why I didn't. I think it's because I got really sidetracked. Because the door kept opening and closing, and I just kept getting really distracted. So I like kind of kept forgetting what I was talking about. Like I didn't even do like an outro or anything. But then I realized I had actual thoughts and I wanted to give them. Also, I think Joseph has one of the best like base outfits. I love his outfit. It's so slay. I love they gave him that slutty little crop top. Like, you go off, girl, go off.